Okay, so money, right? Something we all deal with.
Definitely.
But today, we're diving into Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. And I gotta say, even just the idea behind it, it's pretty eye-opening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's basically saying that to really be good with money, it's not just about being good at math.
Right.
It's about understanding, like, human behavior, our own behavior.
Totally. Yeah. That's a really interesting way to look at it. I mean, Housel's whole point is that how we feel and the things we've experienced, they shape how we make decisions about money, even if, honestly, those experiences are just a tiny part of everything that's actually happening out there in the world.
So you're telling me that even if I, like, slaved over a perfect budget or a financial plan, my own brain could be, like, sabotaging me.
It can definitely happen.
That's both kind of cool and super scary at the same time. Yeah.
It is. And it's backed up by research, too. There's actually research out there that suggests that something like 90% of the choices we make about money
Wow.
come from our emotions.
Seriously, 90%.
Yeah, not logic.
So all those spreadsheets and budgeting apps I obsess over,
Uh-huh.
they're basically useless if I can't get a handle on my emotions. Maybe I should be talking to a therapist instead of a financial advisor.
Well, I wouldn't say that those tools are useless.
Okay.
They can definitely be helpful, but you're right. You absolutely have to understand the psychology part of it all. Take something like what they call loss aversion, for example.
Loss aversion.
Yeah, it's this thing where the feeling of losing money is so strong that it outweighs like the happiness you'd get from making the same amount.
Oh.
And that can lead people to, hang on to investments that are tanking,
Oh, man.
hoping they'll magically turn around.
Yeah, I've so been there. Like that one tech stock I was sure was going to bounce back, I just would not sell it. Looking back, it was just pure stubbornness and fear of admitting I was wrong.
Classic loss aversion.
Wow. Okay.
And then there's another one called anchoring biases. Yeah, basically it's this thing where we get fixated on the first piece of information we get, even if it doesn't even really relate to what we're deciding.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine you see some fancy car with a crazy high price tag.
Okay.
It might subconsciously set your idea of how much a good car is supposed to cost.
Ooh, that makes sense.
Even if it's totally out of your budget.
Oh my gosh, that explains so much about my online shopping habits. Suddenly, my urge to browse luxury cars makes a lot of sense. No wonder I feel like I'm always spending too much.
It's all about recognizing these biases.
Right.
And how they affect what we do. Oh, and then you've got overconfidence.
Overconfidence.
Yeah, that's where we think we know more than we actually do and that we're better at stuff than we really are.
Oh, I know some people like that.
It's why you see people making risky investments thinking they can, perfectly time the market.
It's like they're playing a game of chance with their money, but trying to pretend it's all, like, a brilliant strategy.
It is, really. And Housel, he has this great quote about it. Progress happens too slowly to notice, but setbacks happen too quickly to ignore.
So patience is key. But that goes against our whole instant gratification culture.
Yeah.
No wonder so many people struggle to think long-term about money.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Housel also makes this point about how getting money and keeping money,
Yeah.
they're totally different things, and often you need opposite approaches.
Wait, what do you mean?
Okay, so think about it. To get money, a lot of times it takes risk-taking,
Yeah?
boldness, maybe even a bit of luck.
Okay.
But to hold on to that money,
Yeah.
you need discipline, patience, and this ability to resist, the shiny things that could totally derail your goals down the line.
So someone who makes a bunch of money quickly,
Uh-huh.
they might not actually be very good at managing it responsibly.
Right.
They might not have the patience to actually make it grow over time.
That's exactly it. They might, upgrade their lifestyle too fast, chase bad investments, or just spend impulsively, all because they haven't figured out the keeping part.
This is really making me rethink how I think about money.
Yeah.
I wasn't so focused on making more, but maybe I need to spend more time figuring out how to manage what I've already got.
Yeah.
This idea that you need different skills for earning and keeping money, it's a real game changer for me.
It is a big difference. And that leads us to another one of Housel's big ideas, the idea of enough.
Enough. That's
Yeah.
interesting. But how do you even figure out what enough is
Right.
when you're constantly being told you need more of everything?
Well, it's not about hitting some specific number in your bank account.
Oh, yeah.
It's more about this feeling of contentment and freedom. You can live a life that matches what's important to you.
I get that. I
Yeah.
really do. I've definitely fallen into that trap of trying to keep up with everyone else, thinking all that stuff would make me happy.
Yeah.
But the more I get, the less satisfied I actually feel.
It's a vicious cycle.
It really is.
Housel is pushing us to break out of that,
Okay.
to ask ourselves, what really matters? What brings us joy? What gives us security? And how can we make our choices about money reflect those things?
So instead of always asking, how can I earn more? I should be asking, what does a truly good life look like for me?
Exactly.
That's a totally different way of looking at it.
It is. And once you have a good grasp of your values,
Yeah.
it gets easier to resist all those tempting things that pop up,
Yeah.
or those lifestyle upgrades that don't fit into the bigger picture.
So it's not about depriving yourself. It's about making choices that actually support the kind of life you want to live.
Exactly.
That feels more empowering than anything.
It should. It's about shifting your focus from just getting more stuff to actually feeling good about your life.
This is giving me a lot to think about. I've always thought about financial success in a pretty narrow way, but Housel is opening up this whole new perspective. It's not just about numbers, it's about understanding myself, my emotions, and what's truly important to me.
And that understanding is the foundation for making good financial decisions. It's about creating a healthier relationship with money that actually lines up with your values and goals.
This is really making me rethink some of my assumptions about wealth and happiness.
Yeah.
It's not just about having a ton of money,
Right.
it's about having enough to live a fulfilling life.
Exactly. And that sense of fulfillment, that feeling of enough, it can be way more valuable than any amount of money.
This is a lot to take in, but it's all good. I'm already starting to see how understanding these psychological ideas can help us all make smarter choices with money.
That's the key takeaway. Financial success is not just about knowing the numbers, it's about knowing yourself.
So, okay, we've talked about how our emotions can really mess with our money decisions,
The care.
but just knowing that isn't enough, right?
Yeah.
How do we actually deal with these psychological traps? It feels like we're fighting our own brains.
You're right. It's not a simple fix. But
Yeah.
the good news is that just understanding these biases, that's a big first step towards beating them. Once you're aware of what's going on in your head,
Yeah.
you can start to come up with ways to, lessen their impact.
So it's not about becoming some kind of emotionless robot. It's more about recognizing our own tendencies and finding ways to, safeguard ourselves.
Exactly. One thing that Housel suggests, something really practical, is automating your savings.
Oh, okay.
If you never even see that money in your checking account,
Yeah.
you're way less likely to spend it on a whim.
It's like tricking yourself into being good with money.
Kind of.
Out of sight, out of mind, as they say. That's a great tip. But what about those bigger financial goals, like buying a house or investing for retirement? I've tried setting goals before, but I often lose steam or, life happens
Of course.
and my plans just fall apart.
I think that's where having a strong sense of enough really comes in.
Okay.
It's not so much about hitting some specific financial target. It's more about creating a life that lines up with your values.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually gives you deep satisfaction when you're really grounded in what truly matters to you.
Right.
You're not so easily swayed by those passing desires or, what everyone else is doing.
So instead of getting caught up in that whole keeping up with the Joneses thing,
Exactly.
I should be focusing on building a life that feels genuinely good to me, regardless of what other people are doing.
Yes. It's about defining your own version of success, one that's based on what you value, not what society tells you to value.
That's a big shift in thinking.
It is.
It takes the pressure off chasing some arbitrary number,
Yeah.
and it lets me focus on what actually brings me joy and security.
And don't forget, building flexibility into your goals is really important too. Life's unpredictable.
Oh, tell me about it.
Things don't always go the way we plan. Don't set these rigid rules that make you feel like a failure if you have to deviate a little. Instead, think of it like guiding principles that allow for adjustments and, those curveballs life throws.
That's a good way to put it. It's like having a compass instead of a super detailed map. You know the general direction you're going,
Right.
but you can adapt to the terrain along the way.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable, resilient, not rigid, and unforgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, you don't have to figure all this out on your own either. There are tons of resources out there.
Oh, good.
Financial advisors, online communities, all sorts of things that can offer support and guidance. Talking to others who are dealing with the same kinds of challenges,
Yeah.
it can be so helpful.
It's funny. Money can be such a taboo topic, like we're afraid to talk about our struggles or ask for help.
Yeah,
But it's comforting to know there are people out there who can relate.
absolutely. And the more you understand about financial psychology, the better you'll be at making smart choices.
Right.
Choices that align with what you want and what you value.
I've got to say, I used to think financial advice was all about spreadsheets and investment strategies, just
Mhm.
maximizing returns.
Yeah.
But Housel's book has really made me see the importance of this whole psychological aspect of money.
It's a real eye-opener.
It really is. It's not
Uh-huh.
just about knowing how to make money. It's about understanding how our minds work,
Mm-hmm.
how our feelings can affect how we handle our finances.
It's all connected. It makes you wonder, right? Like, what about those people who just seem to have this knack for making good money decisions?
Yeah, like are they just wired differently?
Maybe not. What's interesting is that a lot of times the people who seem effortlessly good with money,
Yeah.
they're actually the ones who are most aware of their own limitations.
Really?
They've mastered this art of managing risk,
Okay.
and they get that being right is only part of the equation.
So it's not about being some kind of stock market genius or having a secret formula.
Nope.
It's more about knowing what you don't know and protecting yourself from those blind spots.
Exactly. They're not afraid to ask for help, to diversify their investments, to admit when they've messed up. They're always learning and adapting, which is so important because things are always changing in the financial world.
This gives me a whole new way of thinking about what it means to be good with money. It's not so much about IQ, it's more like EQ, emotional intelligence.
That's how it.
It's about knowing yourself, your strengths and weaknesses,
Mhm.
and making decisions that match your risk tolerance and your long-term goals.
That's what it's all about. And that brings us right back to Housel's main point. Mastering how you think about money is just as important as understanding all those financial concepts. You can know all the theory in the world,
Right.
but if you can't control your emotions
Yeah.
and make rational choices, you're probably not going to achieve lasting success.
So the real secret to wealth isn't some complicated formula.
No.
It's about having a healthy mindset and
Hmm.
understanding the psychology behind our money behaviors.
Exactly. And that's something everyone can develop. It takes time, effort, and being willing to challenge your own assumptions.
Yeah.
But the payoff is huge.
It's like we've been led to believe that financial success is this exclusive thing only for certain people.
It's not.
But Housel is saying it's achievable for anyone who's willing to put in the work,
It is.
not just on their finances, but on themselves.
That's a really important point. It's about shifting our focus from external things to internal ones, from chasing wealth to cultivating well-being.
I'm starting to realize this goes way beyond just money.
It does.
It's about personal growth, self-awareness, and building a life that's both financially secure and emotionally fulfilling.
It really is. It's like when you get those two things to line up, your money choices and what you truly value,
Yeah.
that's when you find real wealth, the kind that goes way beyond just the numbers in your bank account.
This whole conversation has been like a total eye-opener.
Good.
I feel like I've been given a whole new way of looking at money. It's not just about numbers.
Right.
It's about understanding myself, my emotions, and, what really matters.
Exactly. And that's what we hope everyone listening takes away from this deep dive.
Yeah.
Understanding the psychology of money, it's an ongoing thing. It's not like you just figure it out and you're done.
Right.
There's always more to learn, and new challenges pop up all the time.
Well, I'm definitely ready to ditch the spreadsheets, at least for a little while,
Yeah,
and start, investing in some self-awareness.
that's the spirit.
This is way more interesting than I ever thought it would be.
It can be really rewarding, too. Remember, it's not just about being successful with money. It's about personal growth and building a life that truly reflects what's important to you.
So as we wrap things up here, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. If being good with money is more about how we act than how smart we are, what's one habit you could change, starting today, to improve your relationship with money? Maybe it's automating your savings, setting some clearer financial goals, or even just being more aware of how you're spending.
Good ones.
Whatever it is, take that first step towards really getting a handle on your money psychology.
I love it.
You might be surprised how much it can change your life.
And if you want to go even deeper into all of this, I highly recommend checking out Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. It's a really fantastic read.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the psychology of money. We'll catch you next time for another insightful exploration.